Hey guys, and welcome back to Cultured Boys, a show where two guys just want to have a chat. I'm Nathan, and as always, I'm joined by Pepe. And this week, we are watching Weathering with You.
Yeah. So, for those that have seen an episode that came out a few weeks back, we watched Your Name. Nathan had seen it for the first time. That was my rewatch after God knows how many years.
Yep.
If you listen to that episode, you've heard that we're going to try and watch the other Shinkai films or his more recent ones.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, following Your Name is Weathering with You. So we have both watched it for the first time. So both of us have watched it for the first time.
Yes.
So we'll get some opinions on that. How are you, Nathan? How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah?
Struggling a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Got sick recently, but it's nothing that I haven't dealt with before. So, yeah.
Yeah. We roll with the punches.
Yeah, it be what it be. A little bit under the weather, but not severely.
Under the weather, because weathering with you.
No pun intended. I hate you. Shut up. You shut up. You shut up. Don't turn wife.
I guess before we get into it, Nathan, do you want to give the rundown of what Weathering with You is?
Yes. Weathering with You, Tenki no Ko, written and directed by Makoto Shinkai. Once again, produced by Comic Wave Films and Story Inc. Distributed once again by Toho. Music by Radwimps. So, all the same players are back. Literally everybody, pretty much everyone.
Everyone is here. Sorry.
It's not normally part of the breakdown.
Yeah.
But during my research, actually most of the cast did return.
It's bad.
It's like the voice cast. So practically almost everybody from Your Name has come back for this one.
Yeah.
Originally released July 19th, 2019 in Japan and January 17th, 2020 in the US. I'm assuming worldwide. I don't know. That's just what Wikipedia told me. And Weathering with You is about... Well, actually, that was not a very smooth transition considering the start of this. But anyway, during Tokyo's wettest period ever, a runaway falls for a girl who can manipulate the weather, but stopping the rain comes at a cost.
Ooh, that's filled with mystery, that one.
Yes, thank you, Channel 4, which is where you can watch it here for streaming in the UK.
Literally, yeah. I don't think we've ever had Channel 4 as a source before, which is...
no. Not for the breakdown, but that is how we watch Your Name.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Lord. But yeah, it suddenly occurs because obviously you had the character. You have when Nathan sends the breakdowns through, he also sends the character names through as well.
Yep.
And even though I watched this a couple days ago at least, I literally went into this episode like, what are the characters' names again? It's like, if you asked me right now and I wasn't looking at the notes, I'd still be like,
See, I watched this yesterday.
Right, so it's a bit more fresh in your mind with it, I guess. But
I could not for the life of me remember the girl's name.
Yeah. Even now, looking at the name, it feels like... That doesn't feel like... I watched the whole film. I remember the story. I know what the story is. And that name doesn't, ring a bell whatsoever. You're like, oh, that's the name. I'll be like, is it?
I mean, I don't remember the boy's surname being Morishima.
Yeah.
I remember Hodaka.
Yeah.
Because I remember, other characters being like, Hodaka-kun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now I'm saying these names, I do have slight flashbacks of Hodaka being like, Hina-san!
Yeah.
Hina-san!
Yeah, that's true. That is true. God, it's
But yes, those are the names of the new characters, the new MCs.
Adoka and Hida. So yeah, I'll
H and H.
Yeah. I'll try and remember them throughout this episode. They're literally right in front of me. It's literally right.
I was going to say, you have the notes. So, why would you have to remember?
Because, when you're in the flow of conversation, you're like, wait, what is this again? I remember, look at the screen. Just look at the screen. That's all I gotta do.
Fair enough.
But what did you think, Nathan? Initial, like, first impressions of it, like.
I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is, especially right after, not right after, but like
Yeah.
pretty much right after watching Your Name, I'm like, yeah, I've watched one of this guy's films,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, yeah, they all there.
Yeah.
It's all there.
Yeah.
A boy and a girl, estranged, weird circumstance, some sort
Yeah.
of spiritual something or other.
Yeah.
And they're brought together through strange happenstance. I'm like, yeah, it's all there, man. It's a Makoto Shinkai film. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
It's got rad wimps. Yeah.
It is like ticking, like, you only have to watch a couple of Shinkai films to get the gist of, like, right, you can tell what a Shinkai film is. Like, you know, like each like director has their own style or something, and you can see immediately from this is like, yeah, this is a Shinkai film. This is
Yep. An unlikely romance, slight coming of age story. Like,
yeah.
it ticks a lot of boxes, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, not at all. And like it's one of those ones where, like, visually, like, this came out 3 years after Your Name did.
Hmm.
And you could even tell, but when you watch this film, you're like, even though it's been 3 years, it feels like a step up.
Mm.
Like, something feels like, even though, like, it's still, like, Your Name's still absolutely beautiful film, you can see that they've they kind of stepped up a little bit in terms of animation as well. Like, it looks like
Yeah.
even more like, whoa, this is like great animation.
The progression is good.
Yeah.
Like, it's I don't know whether it's just more experimentation
Mhm.
or just more comfortable with the software or
Yeah.
whatever it is, it's good stuff.
Mm.
But what did you think of the film?
I think, like, again, like, it is a Shinkai film. You watch this, it's like, this is Shinkai. Like, when he said it was like already in this episode, you don't need to know much until you tell what it is. And animation, spot on, as I said, love that. Story is, if I'm gonna like compare them directly, like side by side,
Hmm.
it's interesting because I think I do prefer Your Name slightly in terms of story.
Agreed.
However, Weathering with Views, like, watching the film felt so much faster paced, which is really interesting to me. I don't know if you felt the same.
Mm.
But that film, even though it was like roughly the same length as Your Name,
Yeah.
this felt like the story felt like, oh, like, it doesn't feel as, I'm not gonna say slow because Your Name doesn't feel slow, but like it feels like you're getting a lot out of that movie.
I mean, it did feel slower at times though.
Yeah.
I think it was because it's a juxtaposition of, like, Mitsuo was from the countryside,
Mm-hmm.
living the slower life, whereas what's his face, Taki is from Tokyo, so it was like the faster paced city life, and then stuff starts to snowball. Whereas this one, I think it starts off faster already,
Yeah.
because as part of the story, right from the get-go, Hidaka is like run away from home.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's already just started with like snowballing.
Yeah, it's like like the tension is already there, and like you see him going for a bit, like trying to get, like, obviously he's moved to is it Tokyo? It is Tokyo, in it?
Yeah, it's Tokyo, yeah. Yeah, because he ends up going to Kabukicho.
Yeah.
And I was watching it with some people and I was like, hey, yo! Because it's the famous archway.
Yeah.
And then I was like making a joke because I was like, hey, maybe he'll run into Kiryu and be a side story.
Jesus.
Like, Kiryu just like runs up on this kid and is like, hey, kid, what you doing? And he's like, I need help, mister. I'm starving and stuff. I don't know.
You know, like, it's one of those stories that, like, kind of like you can imagine it like doing a small crossover. Like they cross paths, but it's not a major point. But like, Weathering with You has its own story. And it's like, hey, watch it, mister, or something. He, like, Kiryu's just walking past, and then meanwhile in the Yakuza story,
Just a man in a grey suit with a red shirt, and then just some random kid like
Yeah.
sleeping in a corner somewhere.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, what a weird thing to see nowadays.
Yeah, and then like in the Yakuza games, like you just like, hey, what's that kid doing there? And you're like, oh, where are you? Walk off. Like, it's like there's slight references or something. Like, imagine that.
Well, I mean, like there was some stuff, at least in the early part of the game, that I'm like, it doesn't feel out of place to be a
Yeah.
weird side story in a Yakuza game, because they've got one thing I noted down was like, I don't really actually know how important I felt it was, because at the beginning, once he gets to Tokyo,
Mhm.
they've got that whole like subplot. I say subplot, like about the, there's lots of guns, hidden
Yes.
guns
Yeah.
in Tokyo. You got to be careful. And I'm kind of like, it doesn't become that important until the two incidences, and then that's it.
It is, isn't it? It's because it's like obviously that's what gets him caught on camera, and then obviously he's at risk of being just thrown back to his old house, basically, like his old village.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, you're right. It doesn't feel like it's a big point, and then you get into it. It's like, oh, that's why it's a threat to him. This is why this plot device is brought into it.
Yeah.
Because you got that amongst you got him doing his job as working for that magazine where it's
Yeah. Of which I also thought that guy was Yakuza, because
yeah,
he's like, he saves him on the ferry, innit?
yeah, and he keeps on the
It's his face, the way he's dressed, the way he's talking. I was like, oh my god, this kid has run away
yeah.
and is immediately getting conned by a Yakuza. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
You can't write this shit.
it is exactly like that. And then but that's the one thing about that character. Like, oh, excuse me, I cannot remember his name for the life of me.
I don't remember his name, but he's
Uh,
from I watched it. I watched the sub this time around because I was
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
gonna sit and watch, right?
Mhm.
And like, it's just the way he's like, nah, sure, then, no.
No, it's like yeah, sure.
It's the way he talks. You're just like,
Yeah, and it's obviously because it's basically like saying someone, "Hey, boy," basically.
yeah.
That's what you're basically like, or "Hey, kid."
He was like, isn't that right, kid?
yeah, it
But it's
is.
just the way he spoke was like, oh, the cadence.
Yeah,
I'm like, I know this cadence from Yakuza games. I'm like, this guy is dodgy straight away. I can tell you that.
yeah,
Plus the way, again, it was when you first see him, he doesn't have his like blazer on. So
yeah.
you're just like, oh, he's a guy in a bright colored shirt or like a red shirt or whatever. And he's a bit scruffy. And I was like, he's a fucking Yakuza.
Like immediately, it gives you the vibes that this guy's the wrong one. Like, especially like it's oh, if you ever need work, here's my card, and it's like he's not questioning anything.
Yep.
And his name's Keisuke, by the way. That's his.
Oh, yeah, Keisuke, yeah.
And the thing is, like, he actually becomes one of my favorite characters because he becomes like that kind of parental guardian to Hadoka, Hodaka even. Hadoka. Like Hadoka Magica.
That's a different series.
Yeah, like he becomes that kind of parental figure there.
Mm.
But it's also you find out more about his character, the fact that like he just wants to see his kid, but like there's a whole bunch of like issues going on there and stuff like that. And it gets to the point where like with his character, then the other character who is his niece. Like you see that kind of family unit come together with like Hina's brother as well.
Yeah, Nagi.
Like they get together, like, and then you all get that kind of little like circle of like all the main characters are basically in this, and they're all like friends, and it's like they spend that day out where it's like, oh, it's in the park, it's a picnic, it's like sunny, and like that's your wholesome moment.
Mm.
That is the thing that again is like so you can tell it's a Shinkai film because you have those wholesome moments that are moments before shit hits the fan, basically.
Yeah. It's the calm before the storm.
Yeah, it's like you're hitting your peak before it just goes to shit.
He makes you feel lovely and like at the top of the roller
Yeah.
coaster before it comes crashing
Yeah.
down, and you're like, no, everything was going so good.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that is literally what it is. Because right after that, it gets bad and fast.
Because this is one thing about it is that like although Your Name had supernatural elements to it,
Mm.
this felt like this is supernatural, but it's on a grander scale. Like
Yeah,
because it was it Masubi the god in the previous one.
yeah. The god of connections.
That was very much like like that felt like it was very grand. Every character in that didn't feel like we know Masubi, but it was only a select few.
Yeah.
Whereas this, it's like the Sun Girl. You're the Sun Girl, and it's just suddenly everyone knows about this Sun Girl, and like she's like doing gigs where it's like she's standing on the top of a building so she can like do stuff, and it's like it feels like everyone knows about this thing that just exists. Like, oh my god, you're a Sun Girl, right? And it's like everyone just
It's because it's like an urban legend first.
yeah.
And then they're all like, oh, wait. Like, Hodaka's like, oh, wait, this is actually like a real thing.
Yeah.
and then finds the girl, and then they start a website to like sell her services
Yeah.
because it's just constantly raining. So she opens up a pocket of like sunshine
Yeah.
for I don't know how long, but not super long. It's not a permanent thing.
Could be like between like 30 minutes to an hour by the looks of it, because they want a book of like festivals and stuff like that, and like markets. So it's
Yeah, like she clears up the rain for markets and fireworks and all sorts. So
yeah.
of which brings lovely little cameo.
Oh, Jesus, like, okay, so in the previous episode, right, we were talking about it, and you were like, oh yeah, it makes you think if like Taki and Mitsuha will make an appearance, and I was like, no fucking way are they gonna make appearances. Like, this ain't some MCU kind of level shit. And lo and behold,
Well,
I was there like, what? This like, and obviously like Taki and Mitsuha, like they're not like, it's not, oh, you see where their lives are. They make cameos basically.
Yep.
But like I just never expected it, and it just was like, I was looking at him, I was like, is that Taki? Is that actually him?
Well, it's funny because they take this one job, and it's this old lady
Yeah.
at a house, and she wants the sun to shine for the Obon,
Yeah.
which is like super reductionist, basically Japanese Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
And all you see is them say Tachibana-san when they're talking to the old lady. And I mean, like, if you were super paying attention, I already forgot their names from before.
Yeah, I just knew Taki. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew Taki, and like, but I heard Tachibana, and I was like, yeah, whatever. And then this guy appears, and I'm like, hang on a sec, is that who I think it is? And then one of the people I was watching it with was like, didn't say anything, but was like pointing, and was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, so it is who I think it is.
Yeah.
They do Mitsuo a bit dirty though, because she like, you don't even get to fully see her face.
Yeah, you don't get it. Like you see the ribbon.
Yeah.
And you see half the face, and you just you basically like, oh, okay, that's her basically. That's her.
Yeah.
And
she's the one who's helped him pick out the ring. She's selling him the ring, but like Taki actually gets to, you see his face.
He gets a bit more. Yeah.
And you're just kind of, but it was like so far I'm 1 for 1.
You
on
are
this
1
theory
for 1.
that they're connected. I'm just saying.
See, because obviously in the last episode as well, you said Suzume.
Yes.
I knew nothing about it, so I'm counting it as like Nathan gets the full point if they turn up in fucking Suzume. This is the one thing.
So that's why for now,
Yeah.
I'm 1 for 1.
Yeah, that's
it. We don't know.
We see where it goes, because apparently this is like the Shinkai cinematic universe at this point. The SCU. We're in the SCU right now, and honestly, it caught me off guard because I like part of it, because some people would see this and think this is Taki. Not Taki's in the character. This is Taki as in this is like this is a bit and that some people could see it that way. I don't think it's that. I think it's like, oh, okay, it's a cool reference, so you can go you can do the
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
you can point and be like
It's little cheeky little wink nudge
Yeah.
like, hey, do you remember my other film?
They don't take over the film either. They're just cameos, which is just like,
Oh, dude, they literally are in it for seconds and then they're gone.
yeah, it's like Stan Lee versions. It's basically like the equivalent of having a Stan.
Yeah,
Lee
literally.
film. Yeah, it's borderline that. Yeah,
It literally is.
which it doesn't take anything away from the film. You just see some conversation between them, and like, and it's fine. No dramas at all with that. And then like after that, you kind of get into where the like, how do I explain it? It's where you're kind of the trouble starts. And that's where you kind of get the like, okay, this is where we're getting into the main story. What is the issue the characters are running into?
Yes.
And that's when you see Hina's health it's not really a health, but it's like you just see the deterioration a little bit.
No, so she is disappearing because the legend says that the sun girls,
Yeah.
if you sacrifice them to the gods, the rain stops.
Yes.
And that's why it's been raining constantly, is because since the last sun girl was sacrificed, it's about time. Which ties in back to Keisuke, because one of the last sun girls was Keisuke's wife.
Yeah.
which is why he partially writes these like articles about urban legends and things, but he doesn't fully believe it because it's more of a denial thing than he doesn't believe it
Yeah.
because it physically happened to his family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Hina's starting to disappear because it's almost time for the sacrifice.
Yeah, and then eventually she actually does like go along with it. She sacrifices herself. Oh well,
Okay, can we talk about that part? Not the sacrifice,
right, yeah.
but the fact that Tokyo is flooding at that point. It's raining so much, it's flooding, right?
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're now on the run because the police have come to see Hina
Yes.
and they've done some digging. Turns out Hina's younger than Hodaka.
Mm-hmm.
So she's underage. She's not supposed to, her and her brother are not supposed to live without a guardian.
Mm-hmm.
Hodaka has been seen on camera with a gun.
Yes.
They're all on the run. They're all trying to get hotels. Obviously, it's flooded, so everyone has to stay somewhere. Why does this woman, this random woman, of which you're not ever supposed to see her face? I've watched plenty of videos, not because I like watching Sea Dog VA
Mm-hmm.
and Chris Broad. They have a series together and they go to lots of love hotels.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
There's my preface before you people want to say weird things.
Right.
Okay, I'm not actually interested in love hotels, but
Yeah.
love hotels, you are not supposed to see anybody's face
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless they're coming to tell you, oh, no, two men, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Futari danse dame, right? They anyway, they go into this hotel.
Mm-hmm.
This woman behind the counter is like 250 yen. You got it?
Yeah.
You got 250? You can afford that? And they're like, yeah. I was like, okay, weird, strange. They
Yeah.
probably just found a really like rundown hotel.
Yeah.
And then they get in there and there's a big bed, a
Mhm.
big bath,
Mhm.
there's karaoke.
Yeah.
And one of the people I was with didn't realize. And I was like, why the fuck did this woman just sell a bunch of kids a love hotel room?
See, I didn't actually realize that straight away either, to be honest.
It was the karaoke that got me.
Yeah.
Like legit, that's why I was like, that's a fucking love hotel.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it's explicitly said.
It was the karaoke in the fridge.
Yeah.
Well, it's not, because otherwise then I think even people in Japan would be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think it is a little bit like it's never explicitly said, which is why. So yeah.
It's not for anything nefarious. They're literally just trying to stay out of the now rain snow.
Yeah, while also avoiding police as much as possible.
Yeah.
And stuff. So it's like everywhere they go, they're like, and obviously Hodaka doesn't have ID, so immediately like they're like, oh
None of them have ID because they're all kids.
yeah, so
But it is literally just like, they're not there for anything except shelter.
yeah,
But it's the fact that this fucking woman, everyone else in Tokyo seems to be like, you're a bit young to be out here. Where's your ID? Where's your parents?
yeah.
And this one woman just looks up and goes, give me 250 yen. You got the money? I don't fucking care. Give me the money.
Maybe it is like that, like feeds into the whole love hotel thing though, because like it's like, oh, like they don't care as long as they're getting their money, basically. Maybe that it just feeds into that kind of thing.
Maybe, but I'm assuming some of the other hotels they went to must have been love hotels as well, and capsule hotels and all sorts, right?
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that I'm like, of all the fucking places, like a bunch of kids in a, and it literally was because they went in and then, you know, there was like, oh, it's a huge bath and a huge bed. And I'm like, okay, wait, the bed could be huge because a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
But then it was like, okay, there's karaoke and now there's also a mini fridge where you have to specifically pay before you get the item. I was like, there's only one place I know in Japan, one type of thick place that has that kind of setup. And I was like, now I feel weird. Now this is weird.
I can't remember. Did the bed spin as well? I don't remember that happening.
No. But the bath, they pressed the button,
had
the
the
jets
jig-
came on,
yeah.
and then the lights went out.
Yeah.
And then there was lights in the bath,
yes.
which is not necessarily dodgy. It can be quite innocuous, you know, mood lighting and whatever. But again, I just said mood lighting, and considering
Yeah.
I said love hotel, weird.
Yeah. It's like I'm no expert in love hotels, and I've only really seen them in like certain things. So, like, even though I definitely haven't seen him in person, let's put it that way.
I only know this stuff because I've seen plenty of them on YouTube because of Wacky Weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah, thanks to Sea Dog's VA's
yeah.
like weird fascination with love hotels. I've seen plenty of videos from him and Chris Broad where they go to a love hotel.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah,
fair.
he's weird.
But then, obviously, from there anyway, that's where Hina goes missing. And like, oh, where is she? Turns out she sacrificed herself.
Yeah.
The police are like arresting Hodaka.
Well, it's like she didn't even technically sacrifice herself. She like fell asleep and then just like boop.
Well, I just assumed that like it was. I don't know. I assumed it was like partially her that said, "Yeah, go on, and I'll do it." But I don't know. Maybe that's headcanon. Maybe that's headcanon.
I don't think so because she fell asleep and then she was like,
Yeah, the dressing gown was just yeah.
she fell asleep and then she was like, oh, woke up, quote unquote, somewhere else. Like now she's in this weird water world in the clouds.
Yeah.
And then she just started fading because the ring that
Yes,
she was
of
gifted
course. Yeah,
like
that was
falls
it.
through
Yeah,
her
I
because
remember
she's now
yeah.
becoming, she's basically becoming water. Like she didn't choose to do it. It was just like,
It was yeah. No, I remember. Yeah, now you mentioned it. Yeah, I can't remember that scene. Yeah.
yeah, my interpretation was that it was just time.
Yeah.
Like they were like, time's up.
Yeah, that's it. Like he's is it do you think like is it like a kind of powers kind of thing because she used it so much? Is that what it is? Because
Maybe?
like if she didn't use it at all, do you think that she would have been fine?
Maybe she would have.
It's hard to say, yeah.
Maybe she would have had more time. I'm assuming it is a use thing because
Yeah.
like it went from originally when they decided they first started hanging out, she was like, she lied to him, was like, yeah, I'm gonna turn 18 in like, what was it, like 2 weeks or something, or
Yeah,
a month,
something like that.
something like that. And then like by the time he buys the ring, she's gonna turn, it was
Yeah, it
gonna
was
be
gonna
her
be,
birthday
18, yeah,
like
it's
that
yeah,
week.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like time has passed and we don't know how many jobs she took.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming it is because each time she has to pray. So maybe each time she prayed, she was basically giving up another portion of herself to the gods.
Mm.
And then by that point, they were just like, you know what?
It's yeah, like you've done it so much now that it's like, yeah, go on then. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because by the time they're at the love hotel and she like shows him, she's like most of her like
She is, yeah.
body is like translucent or whatever. Like she's become mostly water anyway. So
True that.
yeah, I'm assuming she just did it too often and was like, cool.
But this is like the one thing that I find a little bit like, I don't know, in my opinion, with that kind of scenario, right, where she's basically been taken up to the gods at that point, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's the concept of bringing her back, which is so surreal to me. It's like,
Yeah.
even like, because Hodako's like, oh, I'm gonna go get her back, basically, and everyone's like, yeah, go on then. So he goes back to where she originally went to pray, right?
That shrine on that dilapidated building,
Yeah.
of which that's another thing I want to bring up later.
Yeah, go on. No. It's like, because I mean, we're pretty much there at that point because it's sort of, that's when he runs away and he like,
She's been going to this shrine for a year, right? And it's been raining like crazy. That whole building is abandoned.
yeah,
Those stairs are rusty and dodgy as fuck.
yeah.
How was it only then that those stairs and that building
Give
was
way,
like,
yeah.
nope, giving up now?
Yeah.
I'm like, that thing should have like fell down ages ago.
Yeah, it is. It is a bit like this is where you have to like suspend your belief in some kind of things. It's like your disbelief. Like,
Yeah,
whatever
I
that
suppose.
thing is. It's like you just gotta go along with it. So, which is why, like, certain parts of me feel like, why is this happening? And it's this is why I compare it to Your Name and the fact that Your Name felt very much still grounded in reality with a supernatural twist,
Yeah.
whereas this is like it's well into the supernatural at this point. This feels like it's like there's so much rain going down, there's gods and he like there's a lot of stuff. Yeah,
It's not even that. It's like this weird fucking rain fish.
yes, yeah,
Like it rains and then there's like water fish that you touch and then they like boil away or dissolve or something.
there's something. Yeah,
Yeah, this is super wacky, but I mean, it was already super wacky when you were talking about a girl who can pray a massive fucking hole in the rain clouds. Like,
yeah, and I mean realistically, yeah, it's wacky, it's wacky from the get go.
yeah,
And it's so based in that super. So yeah, okay, I can understand why it's like kind of give a bit more leeway to it compared to something like Your Name. But like again, this is one thing that I have with the whole story. So obviously, Hodaka finds a way to get Hina back, and they're falling through the crowd. I mean, again, animation at this point, freaking amazing. Like, I love,
Oh, beautiful.
like, this part is absolutely spectacular. It looks so good. But then, like, at this point, and this is where the Radwimps song comes in as well, and it like kicks in. You're like, yeah, this is sick. And then it gets to the point, the aftermath, and you're like, oh yeah, and now like 90% of Tokyo is now underwater. You're like, oh.
Yep.
Hold on a second. So this is the point where like this feels like there's a lot of casualties here now.
Well, I mean, it is because
Yeah.
he went and saved her, but she was supposed to be the sacrifice. So the rain
Yes.
started again, and it didn't stop because nobody was sacrificed.
Yeah. This is the point where it feels like, oh, this wasn't for the greater good at
Yeah.
all. This, like, you know, you went from it like, like it feels like, oh, it feels like that what happened may have been for the best. Like, there's sun now, and there's everyone's like kind of a bit fine.
Yeah.
And oh wait, no, like,
It feels like the opposite of Your Name. Like, they
yes.
went for love, but at least in Your Name, love meant he saved a whole town.
Yes.
This time, they went for love, and most of Tokyo is underwater again.
It's ruined a lot of people's lives, and
And his own life, by the way.
Yeah, I
Because
mean-
he still got arrested,
yeah,
and he was on probation.
yeah.
Like, everyone involved got in trouble.
Like, he did this, like, oh yeah, I did it for love, and all this kind of, and you're like, oh, I don't know, man. This, like, I understand why he's done it,
Yeah.
and like, obviously, like, it's a lovely story, but geez, like, yeah. Fair play, dude, I guess. I mean, like, again, I feel like with the Shinkai films, they kind of have to have that kind of, like, this is one thing as well. They never show you exactly what happens after the situation. You know what I mean? So it's like the situation happened. Like, it's the same thing with Your Name. Like, oh, they saved the village and everything's fine, and then they forgot each other, but still knew they were looking for something.
Yeah.
And then they find at the end, it's like, hey, what's your name? And then it's like, ah, there we go. That's the linking thing. In this film, it's like, oh, yeah, like, so they still know each other. So obviously, there's no memory loss in this in Weathering Review, luckily. but then obviously, time passes. Hodaka moves over to Tokyo again to try and find Hina.
Yep.
And obviously, like, you see pictures as well, and like Keisuke, he's got his family, so he's living with his daughter now and his niece, and
And they're in a proper office this
Yeah.
time, not some old bar.
so it's, you see like life has actually progressed. Like, you see that it's like, oh, okay, geez, it's actually like,
Yeah. And Taki's grandma has to live in an apartment because her house is underwater now.
Again,
Their ancestral
Really?
home is underwater now.
Yeah. And you're like, Jesus, this is okay. Wonder how Mitz. I mean,
It also sucks because, like, Hodaka's like, oh, how come you live here now? Last time I visited you, you lived in that house, big house downtown. And she's like, it's underwater.
yeah, it's for your fucking
Tokyo's
fault.
underwater now.
It's your fucking fault, Miss. Why are you living here? You fucking know why, you little bastard.
Luckily, Grandma's way nicer than Pepe.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be like that guy. That's like, I lost everything because of you. Like, my whole.
I'm not gonna lie. I'd be with you on that. I'd be like giving him a right bollocking, like, oh, it's great, you got your fucking girlfriend, innit? What about all my fucking stuff, you little prick?
Oh my days.
You better fucking marry this one and fucking live with her
Yeah,
forever, you little
better
shit.
fucking worth it. And am I right in thinking that Nagi's living with Keisuke as well?
I think so.
Yeah, because like, I think because that picture, right? Because there was a picture at the end. It was like,
Yeah, well, the thinking, at least this is my interpretation, is that Hina and Nagi probably went to live with Keisuke,
yeah, but you know, obviously, you don't.
but like it's never really told. But all we know is that Nagi and Keisuke's daughter get along really well.
Yeah, yeah.
So like it's either that or he just goes to hang out all the time. I don't know.
It's hard to tell, isn't it? Because like, obviously something had to be done, like with the care thing.
Yeah.
Because even despite like, oh yeah, like they got her back and everything. I mean, these kids still have to be taken into care, and I assume Keisuke is the one that.
That's why I assumed it was him. That's why Nagi's like there.
Yeah, because arguably at this point, yeah.
But then he's Keisuke, his niece,
Yeah.
Hodaka, all of them have done, like, basically helped Hodaka evade the police, right? So they've
Yes.
been obstructing justice.
Yeah.
All three of them have had to have gotten in trouble, right? So that's another thing where, like, that's how, you're talking about suspend your disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
I really had to suspend my disbelief
Yeah,
at the end because I'm like, there is no way Keisuke would have that big office. There is no way
no.
Hodaka could have gone back to school
Yeah.
and just been a normal kid, because I'm like, everything I know of Japan, actually, these people would have been social pariahs now.
Yeah.
Like, it went to trial.
Yeah, yeah, it did.
He was like, I was like, this teenager would never be able to leave his hometown anymore,
Yeah.
let alone rent an apartment and move freely again in Tokyo after probation. There is no fucking way. They would never. He would not even be allowed back in the city, most likely.
Yeah.
Like, this kid would be struggling now because he just fucked it all up.
Yeah.
Like, all of these people would be struggling like mad. There wouldn't be a happy ending for this.
Yeah.
The only good thing would be like, oh yeah, Hina and Nagi got put with relatives or a foster family or something and got to live normal lives.
Yeah. Like,
The rest of these people, they're all fucked. I mean, Keisuke assaulted an officer.
yeah.
Two of them.
But yeah,
For fuck's sake.
There's a lot. There's a lot to take in there. There's a lot that's like, okay, fair. And then, like, assuming that Keisuke is still in the same magazine thing as well, he's still right. Is he still writing about supernatural stuff? Are we assuming that this is the same?
I don't know what he's writing about now, but it's still the same company, yeah?
Yeah, still the same. And
They just moved to a nicer, bigger office.
and you're telling me that 90% of Tokyo is underwater, but meanwhile Keisuke's got his magazine business running in a full office, and it's like there's a lot. The odds are stacked, and they've all kind of land on their feet quite well considered.
We say full office. It was like a newer, nicer office in a nicer building, but like, even in the shot where they like send him away, there were two other people sat at desks like in that room.
It's better than he had. Let's be honest, instead of a basement.
Oh yeah, they were literally fucking three people
Yeah.
living in an old bar, like
Yeah.
crouched over a little table
Yeah.
with laptops.
I mean,
so-
they if anything, this is like free, like 10 times better than what their setup was before. Regardless, yeah. So and like, obviously,
they all got desks, for fuck's sake, and computers.
now he's with his daughter as well.
Yeah.
Like, I assume that he's got custody of her.
Also, you see how chunky that cat got?
Yeah.
They live in a good life.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of things. Yeah. Like, they've landed on their feet very well, considering very, very well, considering all of them pretty much have they've landed quite well.
Oh yeah, for sure. But that's because they gotta have a happy ending.
They've got
innit?
that's
'Cause
the
you
one
can't
thing.
just be
It's a
like,
happy ending. Like,
you can't just have it like, oh, we got Hina back, and then Hodaka went to juvie, and then life was really hard for him because no one would hire him. Keisuke couldn't get custody of his daughter anymore because he assaulted two officers. He's in prison now, and his niece, she never got the chance to get a job or live a normal life because she also helped Hodaka run away from the cops. So she's also probably in jail. Hina and Nagi went somewhere.
taken into care, basically. Yeah, and it is. Yeah.
Yeah, they got put in the system. End of the film. Bye. Tokyo is underwater. Bye. Like, that's a terrible ending.
Dear God, yeah, it's fucking bleak, isn't it?
Yeah, they also never see each other again. But, yeah.
God, yeah, they really did take the liberty with the happy ending thing there. In which case. Right, yeah. So we do get that happy ending, which is nice, and arguably, like, yeah, still the same kind of Your Name kind of ending where it's like, oh, they finally see each other again at the end after being separated for so long.
Yeah.
At this point, you kind of just gotta be like, well, what's Suzume gonna be like? And is it taking part in the SCU? That's the next question. Is it gonna take place when
I don't know. I hope so.
like, if it doesn't fucking start with yes, Tokyo is now completely underwater. It's like, whoa, geez. At this point, it has to be like, right?
Well, I mean, that door is surrounded by water.
Right. This is one thing as well that's like, so it linked, right? So
Hmm.
the whole your name thing and Weathering View, it linked because obviously those characters exist in that universe.
Yes.
However, we did see that Taki and Mitsuha did eventually meet up, assuming that in this time period they hadn't met each other yet, because it doesn't feel like they would have, right? Unless they have and they're just like, oh, okay, yeah, I got a girlfriend on the other side of town or whatever. But then at this point, they never, in your name, arguably, I think like they have umbrellas and stuff like that. So they're like, oh no, it could be
Yeah.
kind of linked. It could have even been linked to that. But how are they living now? That's my next question. Assuming that they're together,
I don't know.
like Taki and Mitsuha in this universe where it's absolutely like,
So, from my interpretation of it, is it's obviously the Taki and Mitsuha after they've saved the town.
yeah,
I'm assuming also after they've met up again.
yes, because she's living in Tokyo now as well. So, well,
Yeah, well, she was living in Tokyo before they met again after he reset time essentially for her whole town. But I'm assuming it's after they've met, so I'm assuming they're still together, probably just still dating, maybe.
are we saying that like where Hodaka and Hina met Taki's grandma?
Hmm.
Are we saying that they're together at that point?
Yes, that's what I interpret it as.
Oh, you reckon? Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
Because that's already time has passed even to get to that point.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't raining when they met. So, and it rarely rained.
Yes.
Weather
Yeah.
was normal when they met at the end of Your Name.
Mm-hmm.
So, in this film where it's constantly raining, I think they've already met and they're still together. And because they're the last main characters, we're not going to get answers.
Okay. Yeah.
But I imagine they're still together.
Yeah. It's hard to tell because obviously he's like,
Which is probably also how Hodaka knows to go there, because I reckon because Taki was the one who was like, so what you getting her?
yeah, yeah.
And if he's like been around asking people like, what do I get her? I reckon he probably would have gone to ask Taki, and Taki probably would have been like, okay, well, my girlfriend or whatever.
What kind of throws me off a little bit if it is because in one of the last scenes of Your Name, we see that Taki's looking for a job, basically, so he's going for interviews.
Yeah.
So he's got his suit on and stuff like that. So it also assumes that like I kind of assumed that like Taki would be in somewhat like dressed differently. You know what I mean? Like in that scene, it's like he's dressed very casually. If like, at first I thought it was a school uniform, so it's like
Well, I mean, that'd be weird if he was in a school
Yeah.
uniform, considering, well, we've already graduated and looking for jobs. Like, but I'm back at school.
that's one thing because that's what I was unsure about. Like, is he in university or something? That's the other thing I was questioning. Like, wait, what point is he at?
Maybe
Yeah.
I'm assuming because it was a public holiday, he just had the day off.
Oh yeah, of course. Yes, could be.
Again, this is all just my interpretation of everything that I saw and then it
Yeah.
happened. And yeah, it's Obon, so it's a public holiday. So I'm assuming that's just him in his casuals because he's gonna go visit his grandma.
Yeah, because he arguably wouldn't be in a school uniform to go visit his grandma. I guess it was unless it was like
Yeah, and because it's Japan, even if he was gonna go in some sort of formal wear to a family thing
Yeah.
like this, I reckon he probably would have ended up wearing like a kimono or something instead of a suit.
But even then, his grandma isn't really dressed in anything like that. So it's like it's so weird. But I can understand like I'm in my interpretation. I don't think at that point I don't think they've met. But I think in the 3 years, that's when they would have.
I mean, yeah,
So at one point, that's how I can kind of see it. Yeah,
that does make sense because of the umbrellas and stuff.
yeah.
But then they met on a sunny day. So I'm like, unless they met somewhere near where Hina's like opening up a random just sunspot.
It depends, yeah, and at that point you have to think of like, at what point did they meet where Hina's actually also doing a crossover with the sunspot thing? Unless it was literally when Hina had gone up. It's that short period of time where like,
Oh, that's a really short time frame though, isn't it? Like,
yeah, it's trying to work out that time frame then, isn't it? God, it's so
'cause
yeah.
it was snowing before then, but it didn't look like it snowed at all at the
Yeah.
end of your name.
God, yeah.
I think we may be trying to connect too much.
I'll say maybe we'll get more answers in Suzume. I'm gonna put money on it. I don't think we're gonna see any of that stuff in Suzume. And I mean, there might be cameos. I'm now not ruling out the cameos in Suzume, but like,
I will agree with you on cameos.
yeah.
I think maybe we'll get some cameos.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in Suzume, it really is like the only reason I was trying to see if they were connected is because Musubi being the god that connected them through time and whatever, they
Yeah,
had a
friends,
connection
yeah.
for a god. I'm like, if that's the case, then these doors, I guess I was doing like a Monsters Inc. kind of thing, and I'm like, they open a door and it's like to somewhere else.
Yeah. Thing is, though, you're not actually too far wrong with the whole connection, because arguably the thing that seems to be connecting all these Shinkai films as well is there's this god of something.
Yeah, there's this whole spiritual connection thing
Yeah.
that is going on.
And like they even say in this that they use that, oh, the threads of whatever. So like it's like they still use those terms, like, oh, the threads of connection, whether it be threads of time, whether it be threads of whatever. Like everything's connected.
Mm.
And you saw like that talk come back, especially when they're like looking into it a bit more. So there is like I think it's in the previous episode you mentioned, oh yeah, there's this god of like Masubi's this god, but like what other gods are there out there?
Yeah.
And technically you're onto it. Oh yeah.
Because it's the Japanese pantheon, like, you know, there's all the kami.
Yeah, yeah.
There's major kami, there's lower kami. I mean, you see it like in everything, you know, like that's what like Shintoism is like there's a spirit in everything. There's gods of all sorts of things. So I'm just kind of like, I don't know, maybe that's the connection. That's what it is. It's just gods.
So I think that I think going on from your point with that, I think at this point we're gonna see in Suzume, well, there'll be one sort of god reference. It's gonna be some kind of kami thing.
Yeah.
This is what I'm anticipating. There's gonna be that. There's gonna be a cameo. I don't know if it's gonna be Taki and Mitsuha or if it's gonna be Hodaka and Hina.
Hodaka and Hina.
Like, who knows? It might be like a passing the torch. Like we've seen Taki and Mitsuha now. If they bring him back for a third film, it's like, okay, geez, okay. yeah, money's worth out this one. I think I reckon we'll see Hodaka and Hina rather than Taki and Mitsuha and Suzume.
Okay.
I think there's gonna be a cameo there.
It feels like you're trying to make a bingo card.
I think it really feels like there's gonna be that. There's gonna be water. It's gonna be some really sick animation. Rad rooms are gonna be there.
There's gonna be a male and a female main character.
Yes.
And it's going to be some weird circumstance that they come together.
And it's going to be really feel good. It's going to be like a really like wholesome. And then something's going to go wrong. And then they go find each other again. But they won't like, they'll get together. But then it'll be at the end of the movie where they'll be like, oh. And then they see each other. And the credits roll. And that's going to be it. And
oh, and then we need one of those like zoomed out long shots where they're like one's reaching out for the other one in the air.
Yeah, we need that. Yeah, put that on the bingo card. we need the Rad Wimps. Rad Wimps are gonna be there, so chuck them in. It makes one. I genuinely wonder if there's gonna be Rad. I don't want to look it up. I don't want to look it up either because it's like part of me is so desperate to go on IMDb right now and be like, right, what's the cast list? And if those names are gonna be there, I really want to have a look.
I want to say if there's already 2 films that they've scored, I don't see why a third one wouldn't happen.
Exactly. It feels like it's completely in the realm of possibility. So I think at this point, we've seen 2 of these Shinkai films. It's set a precedent.
Yep.
Is it gonna be the running theme in that third one? And that's what they're all 3 years apart. And is it a trilogy? This is the one thing. Is it a trilogy? Is it like some weird like kind of thing? This is where we got to work this stuff out. There we go.
A trilogy. That's a good point.
Yeah,
it's a good point.
Is it like the weird like kind of the threads of connection trilogy?
I mean, by that point, why not call it the Masubi trilogy?
Masubi weren't really in that second one though, right?
Yeah, I know, but considering Masubi is the name of the god, but it's also the word for connection, instead of just calling it threads or something, it's the Masubi collection.
Masubi. Yeah, arguably that's true. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll soon find out. because like one of our next episodes is gonna be watching Suzume, so you're gonna hear our reactions to this very shortly after.
Yep.
But I guess before we wrap this episode up, Dave, is there anything else you want to say on Weathering with You before we wrap this up?
There are some things that didn't quite gel with me because I couldn't suspend my disbelief, but the overall package is just as good as Your Name. It's another very good animated film. Highly recommend. It's also actually made me more emotional.
Is it? Yeah. I think it's one of those ones where it feels like you said, you have to think about it. Like, and it is, although this is a faster paced film, I still think Your Name has that, like, it's that original, like, oh, I really enjoyed that. So again, if you enjoyed Your Name, you probably will actually really enjoy this. And this is incredibly, this is a joy to watch. It still has that animation.
Yeah.
It still has that great, like, quality. And it just, like, again, it's a great Shinkai film. 100% I'd recommend watching it. But yeah, I guess we'll leave it at that then, I guess. Thank you for listening, guys. Let us know what you thought of Weathering with You and what can we expect from the next Shinkai film. Always love to hear you guys comment on that kind of thing. But remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell button for future Culture Boys videos. Check the links to our description. We have our podcast platforms and our X there. And we see you guys next time when we watch Suzume. Yay!
Yeah.
Right. See you guys then. Bye-bye.
Bye.